Hello, my name is Caroline and I'm the Apprenticeship Programmes Manager for Channel Training. Continuing with our series of video shorts to help you navigate the apprenticeship process. This one covers the expectations for you, the employer, once your apprentice reach Gateway and onward onto their endpoint assessment. An apprenticeship Gateway takes place before the endpoint assessment can start. The employer and the training provider tutor will review the apprentice's knowledge, skills and behaviour to see if they've met the minimum requirements of the apprenticeship as set out in the standard and are therefore ready to take their assessment. To help with this, your channel training tutor will visit your centre to carry out a mock EPA. This is likely to take place in the final month or weeks prior to the learner's planned end date. The mock endpoint assessment will be set up to mirror the EPA process as closely as possible in its entirety. For example, for the level 3 outdoor activity instructor, it would comprise completion of a session template, preferably prior to the mock visit, then an observation of session delivery, followed by a question and answer session, and lastly, a professional discussion. It's likely that this process would take around half a day in total per learner. The employer should be present during the mock, so you have the required evidence to make the learner gateway readiness decisions along with your channel trainer tutor after the mock. The employer yourselves could contribute to the question and answer session, as well as choosing appropriate evidence for the learner's portfolio of evidence submission. In order to go through the gateway, it must be agreed that the learner has met the minimum requirements for the standard, namely display occupational competence, have passed or have evidence of any required functional skills, have completed any mandatory training or gained any mandatory qualifications that were set out in that particular standard, and have met the minimum duration for their apprenticeship. Should yourselves and the channel training tutor not feel an apprentice is ready to pass through the gateway, an action plan will be set up so that they can get to that point. This could involve an extension in programme if it takes the learner past their planned end date, and a consequent review of contracts and apprenticeship paperwork. In our experience, this has been a very rare, if at all, ever occurrence. If all, the learner, yourselves and the channel training tutor agree that they're ready to go through Gateway, a discussion will be had then about timescales, suitable sessions, group availability, so that the EPA itself can be booked. Ideally, several potential EPA dates will be chosen to help with contingencies with groups or weather or endpoint assessor availability, etc. If this face-to-face visit is also the learner's minimum end date, the tutor can also carry out the exit meeting at that point. This can therefore serve as the learner's last day in learning. If the minimum end date is at a time after the mock visit, it might be that the exit meeting and the learner's evidence of last day in learning will be generated during an online meeting between the learner and the channel training tutor on that particular date. A learner's evidence of last day in learning could involve signing a review on one file or submitting their final piece of portfolio evidence. So on the last day in learning, you, the employer, will need to sign the Endpoint Assessment Gateway Readiness Declaration form. It's important that you're happy, as should the apprentice fail any part of their endpoint assessment, you as the employer, with the responsibility for the majority of training, are responsible for covering EPA resit costs and also responsible for extending the apprenticeship contract and covering any other future EPAs resits. There's also a declaration of off-the-job training hours delivered and other supplementary forms that you will need to sign at that point. Once the learner's gone through Gateway, has passed their minimum end date, has submitted evidence of their last day in learning, the focus shifts from from communicating with us to communicating with the endpoint assessment organisation directly in order to finalise the endpoint assessment. Your channel training tutor, of course, will be on hand to help with those sorts of arrangements. The endpoint assessment organisation and their assessor will confirm the EPA arrangements with you, and hopefully your apprentice will pass with flying colours. And then it's time for you to start thinking about your next batch of apprentices if you haven't already got them started. I hope this was a useful overview of the processes towards the end of an apprenticeship programme. As always, the Channel Training tutor team are available on email, end of the phone. If you've got any questions, do just contact us. Thank you very much.